Celebrating 75 years of turning to 10. Here's an NBC 10 flashback.
In 1944, representatives from NBC approached the outlet with the idea that the company establish a TV affiliate in Providence. WJAR TV went on the air 3 years later. The date was Sunday, July 10th, 1949.
The voice of announcer Jim Metcalf was the first one heard on Channel 10. He began with the official sign-on, then introduced the TV station's first broadcast. For you trivia buffs, it was a baseball game, the Boston Red Sox versus the Philadelphia Athletics.
A new age had dawned for the outlet. The company began to employ men and women who were pioneers in this remarkable means of communication. No one at the time ever dreamed that television would continue to provide revenue, careers, and opportunities long after the department store had ceased to exist.
NBC 10 News starts with breaking news.
Unanimously agree that we need to demolish the westbound side of the Washington Bridge superstructure.
We understand the problem, and we have a plan to fix it.
My team at DOT stands ready to deliver this project.
The day of accountability is coming.
Can't be saved, too far gone. Repairs are likely not worth the hassle or the cost. So the westbound side of the Washington Bridge will be torn down completely, and a new one will replace it at some point. I'm Gene Valicenti.
And I'm Patrice Wood. After months of waiting, the state has laid out its plan of action. Drivers will deal with detours and bypass lanes for a couple of years. You saw the lengthy news conference live here on NBC 10. The goal is to have the current bridge torn down by March of next year and have traffic flowing on a new span between spring and fall of 2026. The estimated cost, up to $300 million. At the same time, Governor Dan McKee promises accountability for the people or companies that got us into this mess.
Now, the governor said more than once, a day of reckoning is coming. We'll hear more on that coming up in just a bit. But first, NBC 10's Gabrielle Caracciolo begins our coverage with what we know today. Gabrielle?
Over the next 2 years, the westbound side of the Washington Bridge will be demolished and replaced. State leaders say they looked at all of the options, but ultimately determined that a new bridge is necessary.
This situation has been disruptive and challenging, and it will continue to be that way for a while. But we are going to do everything necessary to keep people safe.
3 months after the westbound side of the Washington Bridge was abruptly closed, the state says it needs to be fully replaced. The recommendation comes from several engineering firms examining the bridge after these broken tie-down rods prompted state leaders to shut down the entire westbound side back in December. As they examined the bridge, more issues were discovered.
For that reason, we must replace the superstructure and part or all of the substructure. I am deeply disturbed by the additional findings related to this project.
In January, the state knew about some additional deficiencies beyond the broken tie-down rods, but RTDNA had said that repair work on those rods and other parts of the bridge was continuing at the same time that these engineering reports were being worked on. Now that we know that the bridge needs to be demolished, do you think that was a mistake to spend that time and money on that repair work?
Well, no, I would say that the work that has been done from that moment in time is in preparation of the options that we had on the table.
Now the state will look to hire contractors to both demolish the existing bridge and build a new one. That'll happen simultaneously, lasting an estimated 2 years and costing between $250 and $300 million.
It is very understandable the frustration that surrounds this issue.
Now, this new bridge is expected to last 100 years. The demolition of the current bridge expected to be done around 2025, and hopefully new lanes of traffic on the brand new bridge opening in 2026. In the meantime, RTDNA Director Peter Alviti stressing that the eastbound bridge is safe and sound to carry all 6 lanes of traffic. And live in Providence, Gabrielle Caracciolo, NBC 10 News.
All right, now in addition to the news that the bridge will be replaced, the governor said those responsible for the mess will have a day of reckoning.
But we're waiting for that. The I-Team's Brian Crandall continues our Team 10 coverage live in Providence. Brian?
Well, Patrice and Gene, while we've been pressing for answers for months, today the governor had a bit of an edge to him when he talked about who may be to blame for the bridge mess. Though he didn't yet say who that is, he promised accountability. Without being asked, Governor Dan McKee brought up the issue many Rhode Islanders want an answer to. How did this happen?
Accountability and the day of reckoning for those who are responsible for the position that we're in and the position that the people in the state of Rhode Island in, that day is coming, and is coming very soon.
And then making his emotions clear on follow-up.
I meant to be strong.
But is that a
I'm not happy about the fact that where we are right now. I don't know if you got that impression. I usually don't raise my voice.
The governor says part of that emotion is learning in reports he's now received that additional significant deficiencies were found in the bridge.
I am deeply disturbed by the additional findings related to this project.
That after years of inspection and the bridge having been under repair for the last 2 years, halfway through a $78 million rehab.
Is it fair to say somebody missed something here that should have been caught a while ago?
I think we'll let that process unfold, but like I said, there's a process that's coming, and accountability is not too far away.
But McKee did not say who could be held responsible, whether it's inspectors, contractors, or people at Rhode Island DOT. The governor maintained he has confidence in DOT Director Peter Alviti, and Alviti pointed to his record of getting hundreds of bridges fixed on time and on budget as to why he can still be trusted.
I understand the frustration of not knowing the full picture at this moment in time. It's a complex situation with a lot of legal ramifications.
Now, the DOT director said the independent investigation report into what went wrong and who may be to blame is expected in 2 weeks. And remember, the Federal Department of Justice is investigating too. Live in Providence, Brian Crandall, NBC 10 News.
And Brian, soon after the plan to replace the bridge was announced, the interim head of the Rhode Island Hospitality Association spoke with NBC 10's Emily Voles about the continued impact to businesses.
We're really, really concerned. We're hearing anywhere from 15% down in sales up to, I even heard 25%, 26% down in sales. We are still recovering from the pandemic. And so we're very, very concerned. There are a number of small businesses that are very, very close, and we got to take care of them.
Singleton says that you can help by purchasing gift cards or changing reservations to times when traffic isn't too bad.
Well, East Bay communities have dealt with this, detours and congestion for months now, and they got a long way to go. NBC 10's Molly Levine live in East Providence with reaction tonight. Molly?
Yeah, I mean, Gene, just to paint the picture here, someone just drove by us and said, hey, you can tell anyone who you're talking to right now that this is ridiculous. It took me 3 hours to get home from work today. He said I left at 3 and just got home. It's been just a headache for 3 months for many drivers, businesses, residents, everyone. It's just been a big headache. And unfortunately, that headache not going away anytime soon, but they say they're not surprised. Like I said, businesses, residents, commuters really feeling the brunt of this closure for the past few months now, leaving hours early for work, losing customers who are afraid to go over the bridge, and traffic backed up on the street they live on. We know it's been nothing short of a living nightmare for many of you watching. While the bridge replacement is estimated to be complete in March of 2026, state leaders are trying their best to ease the traffic. RTDNA has begun making room for 3 lanes on each side of the bridge, but it's something residents say they're still concerned about.
3 lanes in each direction. Yeah. I mean, you're only separating a car from a truck by a foot, maybe a foot and a half. I mean, you want to talk about white knuckle driving. I mean, that's, like I said, I mean, we're all going to have to put helmets on and roll cages. I mean, most people don't pay attention all the time anyways. They're playing with their radio or they're on the phone. They're going to be banging off of each other left and right.
And we did just speak with the owner of MC's Pizza over here on Taunton Avenue, and he told me that after he listened to the governor speak and all of our state leaders speak, he said he's feeling nothing short of depressed. You got to really feel for these business owners over here. I'll have his interview coming up at 7 o'clock on NBC 10. For now, Molly Levine live in East Providence, NBC 10 News.
Molly, thanks. So after 3 months of not knowing, now we know. The westbound side of the Washington Bridge will be rebuilt altogether. You can watch today's whole news conference and look at those RTDNA reports yourself on turnto10.com tonight.
I just thought it would be better by now.
A critical highway route shut down 1 year ago.
15-minute trip can be 45 minutes.
Demolition of the Washington Bridge is in progress as businesses and residents reel from the impacts.
It's going to take longer time, but we got to make sure that we're getting it right.
Now the safety of the eastbound side is in question. We're digging for answers about who's responsible as a lawsuit tries to determine the same. Is there anything you wish you would have done differently? Have you made changes within the Department of Transportation in the year since? This is the Commuter Crisis, 1 year later. Rhode Island is a different state than it was 1 year ago today. The abrupt closure of the westbound Washington Bridge prevented catastrophe. Its ripple effects are just getting started. Good evening, I'm Gabrielle Caracciolo. 90,000 vehicles of Interstate 195 traffic used to drive over the westbound Washington Bridge every day. Now it's being demolished, and the resulting traffic troubles continue to have a widespread impact.
Informed by Deloitte that the system it manages, Rhode Island Bridges, has had a major security threat.
Breaking now at 11, the system is hacked. In a rare Friday night news conference you watch live on NBC 10, the governor reveals a major cybersecurity data breach involving the Rhode Island Bridges system that manages programs like Medicaid, SNAP, and health coverage and more. As we come on the air tonight, thousands of people are impacted. Names, addresses, social security numbers stolen, and the urgent message to protect yourself right now. Don't worry, everyone. We have everything covered to help you out. I'm Dan Janik. The bottom line tonight, the system is shut down, but the programs still work. The state says it's still working to figure out the extent of the breach as state police and the FBI investigate. Anyone who's received or applied health coverage programs or benefits with this site, well, you've been likely impacted, and we're going to tell you what you need to do to protect yourself. Now, these programs include, but are not limited to, Medicaid, SNAP, assistance for needy families, child care assistance programs, Health Source RI, Rhode Island Works, long-term services and support, and the General Public Assistance Program. Boy, there is a lot to break down here tonight, so we have team coverage on this story. Tonight, team's Erin Coogan is talking to those just learning they may be compromised and making sure that your voice is heard tonight. Tonight, team's Leanna Falk was at that rare Friday night news conference asking tough questions for you.
Okay, up first at 6, a run for a Big Mac turns into a big mess for the bus boss at RIPTA. He has not yet turned himself in on a hit-and-run accusation we told you about last week. Hello again, everybody. I'm Gene Valicenti.
Good to have you with us tonight. I'm Patrice Wood. But today, we found Scott Avedizian. The I-Team's Brian Crandall asked him questions, and he's live in Warwick with the answers only on 10. Brian?
Well, Patrice and Jean, the RIPTA boss and former mayor here in Warwick, has not turned himself in here at the police station. Instead, I'm told he'll do it at the courthouse on Wednesday as he faces a misdemeanor charge, accused of hitting a car in the drive-thru and taking off. After a trip to the McDonald's drive-thru goes wrong, Scott Avedizian orders up a lawyer, who he told us to talk to today. Do you have anything to say about what happened at McDonald's?
He's asked me to turn everything over to him.
We found the boss of Rhode Island's public transportation agency at his Warwick home this afternoon, arriving with a suitcase and in a different car than the RIPTA Ford Explorer police say he was driving last week when he was accused of a hit and run. Avedizian has been cited by traffic court for failure to report a crash to police, render aid, and give info Wednesday evening. The Warwick police chief tells us Avedizian also faces a misdemeanor criminal charge for leaving the scene. The chief says Avedizian rear-ended a car in the drive-thru. That car then hit the one in front of it. The chief says Avedizian apparently motioned to the other two drivers to pull over in the parking lot, but then left. A driver followed the SUV in the hit and run to Avedizian's house and snapped a photo of the plate to show police. Avedizian has been the RIPTA CEO for 8 years and was the longtime mayor of Warwick before that. You don't want to say anything to people about what happened?
No, I'm just following his directions.
Okay. Was there a reason you left?
I'm just following his directions.
Okay. Are you still... Anything happened at RIPTA? After we've been asking since Friday, RIPTA's spokeswoman got back to us late this afternoon, saying they don't have a comment on the situation. But she wrote Avedizian had previously scheduled days off Friday and today. 2 years ago, Avedizian was hurt when he flipped his car in Warwick. The police chief said back then Avedizian appeared to be going a little too fast, swerved to avoid a puddle, and clipped a utility pole. The chief said in that 2022 crash, there was no sign of impairment and a field sobriety test was not done as Avedizian was taken to the hospital. Avedizian's lawyer, who he kept referring to there, is former Rhode Island House Speaker John Harwood. He just got back to me and said, no comment.
For the past 6 years,
Residents on Prudence Island have opened their mailboxes to this.
Well, we send a notification every 3 months to say you should boil your water.
A state requirement after a water sample tested positive for E. coli and total coliform in 2018. Is this a public health concern?
It is, yeah.
Then why is it still not resolved 6 years later?
Because it's very complicated.
That depends on who you ask. The NBC Tonight team hopped a ferry to meet with Prudence Island Water District moderator Robin Weber. She argues it's not that complicated. In fact, she says it should have been resolved months ago.
Rhino is causing the delays.
Countless documents provided to the I-team show the delays started years ago. First, the island installs backflow preventers at every home. That takes 21 months, but it doesn't work. So the Department of Health orders the installation of a chlorination system. Water officials fight back, worried about water quality. By now, it's 2021, and the state orders the island to install a pretreatment system to help offset issues with chlorination. After more back and forth, the corrections are supposed to be done by May of 2024. That date is come and gone. Is it finished?
No, we're so far from being finished, it's not even funny. We waited 16 months for the Department of Health to finish their review of our preliminary engineering design. We submitted our environmental assessment in November of 2022, and it took 20 months for them to complete that.
You're the regulatory agency. What's the issue here?
I'm certainly not being defensive, though I may come across as that.
I sat down with Department of Health Deputy Director Seema Dixit, who blamed the delays on COVID and staffing shortages.
One of the reasons that contributed to this was we had a shortage of professional engineers with clean water expertise, water engineering expertise. The second was, as you know, 2020 to 2023 almost, our resources were very limited due to the pandemic.
Environmental assessments must be done by state-certified water engineers. Right now, 40% of those positions remain vacant. Is anyone at Rhino being held accountable for these delays? I mean, as I mentioned, a 6-year boil water advisory. The board members of the water district are being blamed for this not happening on time. Are you accepting any responsibility?
As I said, we accept the responsibility with things being mostly out of our control.
Dixit also cited confusion over funding, but in emails obtained by the I-team, Weber argued the district confirmed the funding twice in 2023, saying, quote, Rhino should have proceeded with its environmental review at that time, knowing that we were committed to using SRF funding only. You think it's an excuse?
I know it's an excuse.
Dixit tells me fixing the island's water woes is now a top priority.
We completely agree that there was an inordinate delay, but now we want to move forward. So I am very hopeful and optimistic that there will be no further delays.
That's assuming the water district can find an engineer and pay for the project. A contract awarded in 2024 has expired because of the ongoing delays.
Unfortunately, we cannot proceed because our bid is expired, and we would need to apply for funding again at no doubt a higher amount.
The initial $603,000 estimate for the project ballooned to $2.65 million over the years. Weber worries the cost will only grow. Will any of this fall on the people who live here?
It's difficult to know until we're all done with the funding application and the whole funding process how much money it's going to cost our customers.
The Department of Health believes the project should qualify for a forgivable loan from the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank, which would mean Prudence Island wouldn't owe a dime, but it's important to note that's not guaranteed. We will continue to cover this story. For the NBC Tonight team, I'm Tamara Sakarzik.
Similar snapshots from ATMs in our area. 2 men police accused of secretly installing illegal card skimmers in money machines at various banks in Rhode Island. Skimmers are used to read a customer's debit or credit card when inserted, and then crooks transfer the data to their own cards to withdraw cash or buy stuff. In newly unsealed federal court documents, federal agents linked the 2 suspects to skimmers installed at ATMs in Warwick, North Kingstown, Cranston, East Greenwich, East Providence, and in the past 2 years, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania.
Are these 2 guys pretty prolific at doing this from what you've seen?
Yes. Leon Vutkis and David Adamek are the names the suspects gave to police with IDs from the Czech Republic, according to court documents. But fingerprints match them to the names Stefano Garioli and Mario DeMarco from skimmer arrests in Connecticut last year. And investigators are not sure those are real either.
So they've been using so many fake IDs that even the arrest that we've linked them to, it's possibly that was possibly a fake ID as well.
The local investigation began in July when a manager at a coastal one in Warwick noticed the suspicious activity on security video. That led Warwick police to connections to other skimmers that had been discovered. Police got pictures of the getaway car. It got spotted on a flock monitoring camera in Cranston days later. And police arrested the suspects at one of the ATMs they're accused of tampering with. Investigators say they found skimmers, a stack of cards, and a list of apparent pins. Police say scammers will install cameras to capture customers entering their pins that they can then use. So customers should look out for any out-of-place wires.
Here's an NBC 10 flashback.
You've already met WJAR's first weather person, Aileen Raleigh, who sang the forecast around 1953. But within a few years, weather reporting got a little more serious.
Hi, I'm Nancy Byers. It pays to be prepared, and I'll have the latest weather information for you tonight at 6:25 on the Weather Show. See you then.
We had a glass board on which she would write the weather.
Nancy Byers and Bunny North did the weather that way into the early 1960s. Bunny also hosted another show with her husband Clyde called Gracious Living.
NBC 10 News starts with a Storm Team 10 weather alert.
And first up with the 19th tonight, the heavy rain is still pounding down across southern New England at this hour. The wind is gusting and we've seen plenty of trees down. The power crews are at the ready. Most people are going to have to wait on the storm to die down before those lights come back on. We hope you're watching us from someplace safe. I'm Dan Janey.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Patrice Wood. The Rhode Island Bridge and Turnpike Authority has lifted travel restrictions on bridges, but winds are still high. Let's take a look at Rhode Island Energy's live outage map right now. Right now, we are seeing a few thousand outages. They're spread across the state, but the biggest one right now is in Coventry. This website also gives estimated restoration times. They range from late tonight to tomorrow. Crews have to wait until the wind dies down to go into those buckets to make repairs.
Yeah, and that storm is slowly moving out, but we got an historic amount of rain.
Storm Team 10 Chief Meteorologist Mark Searles has been tracking this storm all night. When will the storm be out of here, Mark?
Well, the worst of the wind is behind it for most of us. It's still some strong wind gusts of 50 miles an hour or higher across Buzzards Bay and the Cape, but it's been all about the rain, this storm system. The average amount of precipitation for an entire month of December is 4.65 inches. We picked up nearly that amount just today. By far the wettest December day on record for Providence, 4.57 inches of rain. And we're still adding to that. We still have just about 58 more minutes to add to that number before we get to midnight.
Here's an NBC 10 flashback.
November 1980, a deadly 6.9 magnitude earthquake strikes southern Italy. Federal Hill businessman Vin Passanati and his nephew, a doctor, fly to the scene, and so does a crew from WJAR.
The devastation that I did see was coffins on the side of the road by the hundreds. My nephew, he told me that he has never practiced so much bad medicine, for 7 or 8 days. He was trying to do it quickly, and they were coming so fast that after a while he just said children, period. No one else.
We have sent an NBC 10 crew down to North Carolina. They're getting an elevated view of some of the destruction caused by the aftermath of Hurricane Helene.
Western North Carolina was crushed, especially Asheville. NBC 10's Temitope Adelea is live in North Carolina tonight, giving us a look at the destruction in that city, Asheville. Temitope, tell us what you see.
Gina, Patrice, before I even show you that, I just want to make a point that this is our first successful live shot that we're having right now because of all the cell service that has been down, towers that have been down. We haven't been able to get a signal. It's been very difficult to even send an email. So we have this one successful live shot here to show you guys, again, what it is that has happened here. We are standing on a bridge right over the French Broad River. And when the French Broad River was overflown, it overflowed onto these roads here that you're seeing, causing all of the damage, a trail of debris, trail of down trees affecting businesses. There's this one business over here. It's the bike business that we'd referred to earlier in Sunrise this morning, completely gone. And we'd actually taken the time to speak to a couple of business owners here, even one man who owns an art gallery. His is still standing, not like so many of the others that have been destroyed. Take a listen to what he had to say.
After seeing all the devastation down there,
emotions are running high well after the aftermath of Hurricane Helene hit western North Carolina.
Debris, downed power lines, uprooted trees. This is just a glimpse of the Big River District in Asheville, an area known for its vibrant and artsy vibe, now painted with pain from views like this.
Just looking over it, and the river, the French Broad River, is just beautiful today. Just looks totally normal. Doesn't look like the wrecking ball that it was during the storm.
Philip D'Angelo says his studio is among the just 20% of art galleries and studios still standing in the district. So he's using his space to give back.
We just kind of keep making stuff as it goes. We have a gas range next door that we've been using, so we are able to cook. We're having hamburgers and we've had meatball subs.
We want to thank our generous viewers for contributing to our 10 Cares Telethon in partnership with the Salvation Army. You helped us raise $154,910 for Helene recovery. The money will be used to help people in devastated areas. The phone lines are closed, but contributions can still be made. We have that information posted for you on turnto10.com. Same time, we can't forget what southern New England has been through the past week or two. The Ocean State shoreline getting smaller tonight. Back-to-back storms are helping to speed up the coastal erosion, leaving homes teetering.
Yeah, these sites right here are just heartbreaking and leaving behind lots of damage. NBC 10's Gabrielle Caracciolo is live in Narragansett, where several homes are inches away from disaster. Gabrielle.
Now, just look at some of the damage here caused by recent storms as waves came crashing into these sand dunes underneath the homes here next to Roger Wheeler State Beach.
Well, it's unbelievable.
The smallest state is getting smaller.
It's very, very sad. You know, this is devastating.
After back-to-back storms.
Yeah, it's a shame what Mother Nature does.
Coastal erosion is taking a toll on Rhode Island's beaches, eating away at the shoreline.
Mother Nature always wins. Yeah. It's tough to beat Mother Nature.
Next to Roger Wheeler State Beach in Narragansett, several homes are on the brink of disaster.
We've been coming down here for years and never seen this before.
It's only a matter of time, right? For these houses, I don't know. They probably need to put up some kind of a seawall.
Recent storms washed away their stairs and left their back decks hanging in the balance.
Here's an NBC 10 flashback.
President Bill Clinton arrives in Rhode Island, an historic first visit as president.
May 9th, 1994, a presidential town meeting right here in the WJAR studio. President Bill Clinton answered a wide range of audience questions.
This health care plan will not take away from you any benefit you now have.
It's almost laughable to hear the stuff that she's spewing right now.
High-flying accusations kicked off a fiery debate between Cranston's incumbent mayor Ken Hopkins and State Representative Barbara Ann Fenton Fung.
He started doing the insider deals. He couldn't get along with the council.
Delving right into falsified claims about the city's budget.
You know, you've been in office for 4 years now, and you keep talking about these bills that were left over with healthcare, but you don't seem to know how the budget worked.
The rivals sharing their visions for the city, highlighted in opposing approaches to tackle issues of infrastructure, homelessness, and education.
Bigger seems to be the direction to go in, so we're combining schools.
He called himself the education mayor, but Cranston East and Cranston West have both gone from 4-star schools to 2-star schools.
Fenton Fung accusing the Hopkins administration of doing too little, too late.
It was a day late, a dollar short, and 2 steps behind on almost everything.
Mayor Hopkins argued his aggressive approach to city improvement over the past 4 years has resulted in critical partnerships to upgrade local infrastructure, new schools coming online, and an ongoing commitment to prioritize public safety overall. Aaron Coogan, NBC 10 News.
Here's an NBC 10 flashback.
WJAR made television history in 1983 in the waters off Newport. We produced the first ever live telecast of an America's Cup race, the 7th and deciding race between Australia 2 and the New York Yacht Club's Liberty. Broadcast live worldwide, everyone was eager to see if the Americans' 132-year win streak would end.
Take is the photo finish. B-roll, 2 shots.
This is the hub of the Olympics.
One step closer to defending their gold medal in Tokyo.
It may be over 3,600 miles away from Paris, but Stamford, Connecticut is mission control for NBC's coverage of the Summer Games.
So this is really where all the stuff gets done.
Rick Cordella is president of NBC Sports.
About 2,000 employees here. USA Network show, daytime, 24/7, comes out of this building. The Gold Zone, which has got a lot of critical acclaim during the Olympics, comes out of this building. The primetime show, Mike Tirico is in Paris, and the studio's in Paris, but the actual control room of that show is located here.
This is NBC's Broadcast Operations Center, the heartbeat of the Olympic coverage. Every feed that comes out of Paris comes through here before you see it at home.
Basketball is going to be in here.
The Stanford studios include 30 broadcast booths,
Fencing is going to be in here.
where announcers call the action. The video piped in from Paris.
We have interviews with them. We have our analysts sit on that set.
One of the studio shows that originates from here is hosted by NBC 10 alum Catherine Tappan.
I'm hosting all of the USA Network's daytime coverage. So we come on the air usually around 9 a.m. or shortly before then, and we go till 5 o'clock. And we spend all day in the studio together. We are diving in and out of different events.
For Catherine and the other 150 commentators on NBC's talent roster, keeping informed of all 329 medal events in 32 sports is the responsibility of the network research department.
The quarterfinal after they defeated Germany.
The 40 people in this room are a part of a group of 175 working the Paris Olympics.
We're sort of the brain trust, so there's a lot of facts and figures, and Olympics in itself is complicated.
The research team works 24/7 all year long, years and years leading up to the Olympics. They have all the information we need, and like I said, I mean, we would not be able to do our jobs on camera if it wasn't for them.
We're proactively sending out information to everyone in the company that's touching the Olympics.
The result of this incredible team effort has been a ratings winner for NBC.
And the ratings are beyond our expectation. I think the numbers sort of incentivize for even more effort to put into it. But I think in the next 5 or 6 days when this Olympics concludes, it's going to be one of the most proudest moments NBC Sports has ever had.
For 52-year-old Sean Gagan of Providence, Monday through Friday, he's in the classroom teaching math.
What do I get?
To dozens of kids at the Paul Cuffey School.
The job's different every day.
The father of two considers these kids his own. And he's been at it for 24 years.
I hear back from old students. They'll tell me sometimes like, oh, you made an impact on me. And that's like a really gratifying thing to hear.
For as long as he can remember, Sean has always been a problem solver. And that's where Derek Robinson comes into the equation.
Whenever I tell someone this story, they immediately are just like, oh, there are good people, or there are good things happening in the world.
Derek works as a physician's assistant, and he has been for the last 18 years. And while he helps people with their health now, in the early 2000s, he learned his wasn't the best. While in his 20s, he was diagnosed with kidney disease, which eventually led to kidney failure.
I just didn't think I was going to get a donor, so I said, I'm just going to do dialysis. So I had an AV fistula put in my arm.
Derek fell very ill, but daily he would drop off his daughter at school. Sean and Derek's daughters were friends, and though they really weren't, they would occasionally carpool in Providence.
I didn't go to a lot of school events, and people found out that I was sick, and the word got to Sean.
I never thought twice about it. I really didn't.
A phone conversation amongst the men was actually unbelievable for Derek.
I just didn't believe that someone who wasn't a blood relative or a close friend would even consider donating to someone.
And it was like a really heavy conversation because I think accepting generosity sometimes can be a very difficult thing to do.
It was, but then another call from the transplant team at Rhode Island Hospital solidified the surgery. None of Derek's family and friends were a match, but this man was a perfect one.
What he told me that made me feel okay with that is that he said, a lot of people are going to ask me, why would I do something like this? And his response is, I would hope someone would do this for me, and this is why I'm doing it for you.
In 2014, they went into surgery, and Derek came out with a new kidney.
I think in a lot of ways it's like one of those moments in life where like you don't really know what you're getting into. You just say yes and you go forward with it and you hope that everything's going to turn out the way it should.
Fortunately for them, it has.
What's up, big man? How you been?
Which is why once a month, almost every month since the surgery, they meet at Teas in Cranston for breakfast.
We've been through something that not a lot of people have been through together.
There have been dozens of delicious meals shared over a cup of coffee and catch-up conversations.
But it really has changed into like a really profound friendship.
For these dads, this Father's Day marks a big anniversary.
I can't believe it's been 10 years.
The pair plan to celebrate all they've overcome and the beautiful bond that's been built as a result.
He is my brother. I mean, he donated a life-saving organ to me.
And on the day that honors men who mean the world to their kids, Derek is happy and healthy and around to celebrate both things, all thanks to Sean's selfless gift that's kept on giving.
It was great, thank you.
Someday, inevitably, it'll probably start to fail, and that'll be really sad. You know, and then hopefully there'll be good options available. I really hope it lasts forever, though.
Showing you something good. I'm Sam Reed.
Here's an NBC 10 flashback.
The COVID-19 pandemic wasn't the first time WJAR covered wide-scale vaccinations. In 1960, we stepped in to help when polio made a resurgence by hosting a huge inoculation event.
I had served in the Navy with a Dr. Anderson, whom I knew very well and was then stationed at Quonset. So he offered the services of the Navy, and the Navy came up with nurses, corpsmen, the vaccine, and the gun. And that day, I remember it was raining like mad, and the line stretched all the way around the outlet company. And I believe the figure that day was we did about 12,000 inoculations.
I mean, it's going on right now.
Yeah, I went today.
Yes, I did.
It was
Congratulations.
my first time doing an NBC 10 blood drive, and they made it as easy as possible. I was really nervous, but
they do a great job.
You know who helped?
Who?
Health Check 10's Barbara Moore. She was there with me every step of the way, and she joins us now.
I did. I was trying to talk to her while they were putting the needle in her. It worked out. And I am so proud of you, Emily. For all of you out there, this was Emily's first time donating since high school. So it was appropriate that she, along with dozens of you out there, showed up for our back to school blood drive.
Many of us have found out if you call around, it's not always easy to find a dermatologist that can get you in on time. Health Check 10's Barbara Morse joins us. And Barb, there is another option.
Yeah, it's called Skin Check. This is a partnership between NBC 10, the Department of Health, Brown Dermatology, Lifespan, and others, where we bring dermatologists out into the community for these free skin cancer screenings. Since 2016, more than 3,200 people have been screened and 230 suspected cancers found.
Speaking of a big donation, you were able to get a little bit of money out of Mr. Gene Valicenti.
That's right. During our 6 o'clock newscast, I joked with him that he could match everybody who donated. And Gene actually said, you know what? The next viewer who donates, I'll match it. That next viewer donated $1,000. All right, we made a joke at 6 o'clock that Gene would match the next few viewers with a match for a donation here, the 10 Cares Telethon. He said, I'll match the next viewer, and lo and behold, that viewer donated $1,000. So we like to joke around, Gene, but at your expense.
Listen, you put me on the spot, but that's okay. It's for a good cause, and we said yes. A yes is a yes, so $1,000 to the Salvation Army. Now, Barry called in. Yes. And Barry specifically asked for me, yes. Barry, there's your $1,000 on a credit card. It's a good cause. We're going to help the Salvation Army for Thanksgiving.
NBC 10, WJAR, celebrating 75 years of turning to 10.
Good evening and welcome to our 75th anniversary celebration. I'm Patrice Wood.
And I'm Gene Valicenti. It's our Diamond Jubilee, you might say. Well, we've come a long way. From the 5th floor of a downtown Providence department store.
And tonight we're going to show you just how far and give you a rare look behind the scenes here at NBC 10.